Hi there. If for some reason you missed today's class discussion, I'm going to briefly go over it for you slide by slide, but also post the slides in order to assist you in completing the discussion question response. So we started with our Kahoot. If you missed the discussion, then you are expected to complete the Kahoot as a Google form, which has already been posted. The discussion questions we are looking to answer is, why do you think Randy confides in Ponyboy? Confide means kind of opening up to somebody to share personal things about himself or personal things with Ponyboy. How does Randy confiding in Ponyboy how does Randy's confiding help Ponyboy understand what Cherry meant by things are rough all over? Cherry, when in one of her first conversations with Ponyboy, told him that things are rough all over, trying to tell him that the Socias have it bad too, and Ponyboy at the time had a difficult time understanding that because he was still in the mindset of the Socias have it easier. And lastly, discuss the value of what the understanding in the outsiders and in your own experience, setting examples. So this, our closed read reading is a little bit longer today, so I'll read through it and then discuss the parts I have highlighted in orange. I took a good look at him. He was 17 or so, but he was already old, like Dallas was old. Cherry had said her friends were too cool to feel anything, and yet she couldn't remember watching sunsets. Randy was supposed to be too cool to feel anything, and yet there was pain in his eyes. I'm sick of all this, sick and tired. Bob was a good guy. He was the best buddy a guy ever had. I mean, he was a good fighter and tough and everything, but he was a real person too, you dig? I nodded. We discussed I asked you to look at the importance of and yet. What is the power of and yet in these two sentences? He says something about Cherry. Cherry said her friends were too cool to feel anything, and yet she felt something when she looked at the sunset. Randy was supposed to be too cool to feel anything, and yet there was pain in his eyes. Looking at the power of those words. What does that do? That can help you with answering your questions. Next slide. He's dead. His mother had a nervous breakdown. They spoiled him rotten. I mean, most parents would be proud of a kid like that. Good looking and smart and everything, but they gave in to him all the time. He kept trying to make someone say no, and they never did. That was what he wanted, for somebody to tell him no, to have somebody lay down the law, set the limits, give him something solid to stand on. That's what we all want, really. One time, Randy tried to grin, but I could tell he was close to tears. One time he came home drunker than anything. He thought, sure, they were going to raise the roof. You know what they did? They thought it was something they'd done. They thought it was their fault, that they'd failed him and driven him to it, or something. They took all the blame and didn't do anything to him. It was the old man who just belted him. Just once. He might still be alive. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I couldn't tell anyone else. My friends, they just think I was off my rocker or turning soft. Maybe I am. I just know that I'm sick of this whole mess. That kid, your buddy, the one that got burned, he might die? Yeah, I said, trying not to think about Johnny. Looking at this slide, the part where he says he just kept trying to make someone say no and they never did. He says if they would have just belted him once, everything would have been different. Ponyboy is seeing a different side to Bob. Obviously, we know that Bob was a jerk. We know that he was not kind to Ponyboy or to Johnny or to his girlfriend Cherry. We know that he was drinking. But this kind of ties into one of the pre-reading questions that we asked as far as underage drinking. No, it's still completely inappropriate. However, the reason why he was doing it, Ponyboy kind of understands a little bit more now. His parents were not neglecting him in any way, but they were also not really giving him a solid foundation. He says he felt like he needed something solid to stand on, setting some limits, having a couple rules, and he wasn't getting that. Contrastingly, Johnny had a lot of abuse from his parents, and that wasn't really okay either. So Ponyboy seeing that, the grass is not always greener on the other side per se. Then we have where Randy tells him, I don't know why I'm telling you this. He's acknowledging that he's confiding in Ponyboy. He's acknowledging that the things that he's telling him now are not things that he maybe would share with the rest of his friends. He says that the rest of the group would think he's turning soft or was off his rocker. That's kind of like Cherry when she shares things with him, personal things with him. Same thing. She was like, her friends wouldn't understand. Last slide. And tonight, people get hurt in rumbles, maybe killed. I'm sick of it because it doesn't do any good. You can't win. You know that, don't you? And when I remained silent, he went on. You can't win. Even if you whip us, you'll still be where you were before, at the bottom. And we'll still be the lucky ones with all the breaks. So it doesn't do any good. The fighting and the killing, it doesn't prove a thing. We'll forget it if you win or if you don't. Greasers will still be greasers, and socias will still be socias. Sometimes I think it's the ones in the middle that are really the lucky stiffs. He took a deep breath. So I'd fight if I thought it was any good. I think I'm going to leave town, take my little old Mustang and all the dough I can carry and get out. Running away won't help. Oh, hell, I know it, Randy half sobbed. But what can I do? I marked chicken if I punk out at the Rumble, and I'd hate myself if I didn't. I don't know I don't know what to do. I'd help you out if I could, I said. I remembered Cherry's voice. Things are rough all over. I knew then what she meant. So this is the reading. These are the slides that you will use to help you answer these questions. I didn't go over, let me go over this real quick. You can't win, you know that, don't you? Greasers will still be greasers and socias will still be socias. Pony Boy is being told by Randy basically the way things are, the way things have always been. It doesn't matter if the greasers beat up more socias, if the socias beat up more greasers. If you recall from the reading, the way that somebody wins is the first to run loses. It doesn't matter if technically the socias are the first to run. At the end of the day, they're still going to be at the top and the greasers are still going to be at the bottom. Pony Boy is really seeing what a struggle Randy's having personally with this internal struggle. Do I seem like a chicken in front of my friends, or do I hate myself for doing something that I know is wrong? And that's why it kind of clicks to him what Cherry was saying originally, where she says things are rough all over. So you use these 3 slides with the readings to answer the questions for Chapter 7. If you have any more questions besides this, go ahead and send me an email, comment, and I'll be sure to help you out.